Nation, we've been worrying so much, or at least I have, about getting the Dream Theater discography complete in time for their new album, that we actually passed up a band that was, and pretty much is, heir to their throne. Basically, a band that could easily be the band that we talk about in the future, quite the same way as we do with Dream Theater. Now, here's the funny thing. I'm hoping that whenever that happens, because it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, unless absolute tragedy occurs, it will happen, that we'll be talking in 20 years about the majesty and about the great career of Haken, and hopefully I will already have all of those album reviews taken care of as time progresses. So it's time for us to talk about their 2013 album, simply entitled The Mountain. Now, The Mountain is an album that really reflects a lot of the band themselves. It really reflects about the scale of which they are scaling this mountain kind of every single day. It's something where we take on these different challenges or mountains every single day as human beings, as people, no matter what you're really doing, no matter what profession that you really go in, even if it's something that's very mundane, even if it's something that seems extremely trivial, we all have our own individual mountains to really ascend, scale, and essentially conquer. And this is an album that basically has that personal feel to it, that real emotional feel to it. This is something that feels extremely private and extremely personal. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, you can already tell, coverkillernation, that these were going to be songs written with that tailored in mind, and it had all the potential in the world to be just a truly magnificent album. Let's get into it, though. Let's actually start to talk about it. Let's actually divulge. If you really want to include the bonus tracks, which I'm not going to in this case, this is an album that spans 9 songs, 11 with the bonus tracks, and we have a couple of different epics on here. One that is close to 12 minutes in length that has 2 parts to it, which is entitled Falling Back to Earth. We're going to get back to that shortly. And another one that is nearly 11 minute length, where, I mean, we're seeing songs titles, or not song titles, but rather song lengths that are typically right around anywhere between the 4 and 8 minute mark for the remainder of the album, with these 2 lone exceptions, these 2 mammoths. And the first thing that you're going to note here is that whenever you're really examining yourself personally, whenever you're kind of going through this, very intrapersonal journey, that there are many different sides to each and every one of us. And that's something that's reflected on this album as a band, because there is a lot of style on this album. There's a lot of differences that you're going to hear, a lot of things that were tweaked. A lot of times with this band, you definitely see that they're able to kind of topsy and turvy around between being progressive metal or being just progressive rock, and it's something that's also true here. However, they've expanded the horizons a little bit, and here's the one thing, here's the big thing, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the thing that really was going to make it or break it for me. In order for this album to really resonate true as extremely personal, to me at least, this was going to be an album that was going to have to be able to convey that level of personality and that level of emotion on a personal level with myself. Basically something where I'm able to kind of look at the mountains of my own life and really be able to use this music as a way for me to go on an interpersonal journey similar to what the band did. Now, of course, all things are going to be different, considering we all lead different lives. However, if you're able to emote with both lyric and musical content, you have the easiest job in the world as a band, because basically all that you need to do whenever performing, or all that you need to do whenever in the studio, is continue to write that very personal feeling music. And that's exactly how I feel with this album. They accomplished that 100% with about 10 or 12% more added onto the mix. Right whenever you start this off, whenever you hit the path, and the path is the name of the first track, it's just a fitting metaphor, you immediately kind of understand that this is going to be a bit of a self-conscious, a self-awareness journey. And Atlas Stone and Cockroach King, and the first couple of tracks that we get into after that, really not only explore their musical depth and and the depths of their musical talent, but also really showcases a bit of a turn. Now, this is something where Haken has always been a band that's been able to really bring that personality and really bring really their topic right front and center, and you're able to really feel it and really resonate it. But with an idea like the one they had proposed for the Mountain and did for the Mountain, it's something that's a little bit more loose-fitting. It's something that really is person-conscious. Now I'm Sean Connery. And they really have been able to connect with their listeners. They've really been able to really form a bond with their listeners through their songcraft and through their songwriting, which is exhibited beautifully on the first part of this record. But then we get to Falling Back to Earth, and now I have to talk about this song on a very, very personal level, one-on-one, because, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this may be the song of the year. This may be the best song that you hear in 2013. This is a song that truly has just about everything that you could possibly want in it, and it's able to do so much in 12 minutes. Now, we just talked about the new Dream Theater album. We talked about how great Illumination Theory was with 23 minutes, with a heartbreaking piano piece at the end that makes your eyes well up with tears, with a stunning instrumental section. You know, I'm not taking anything away from that. But this song, Falling Back to Earth, is absolutely tremendous. The blending of styles on here is tremendously exquisite. There's portions of this song that remind me of a band that I covered during the 24 Hours of Cover Killer Nation, Pharmacon, which really showcased a little bit of a funk variety within their metal, a little bit of a jazz variety within their brand of metal, and I hear that on portions of this song. I hear the prog metal on portions of this song. I hear the prog rock on portions of this song. This is something where this song is two parts, you know, the rise and the fall, whenever in reality it probably could have been 5 or 6. There are so many different faces to this track, and it was so well done. Such a great song that was put together just very beautifully, and not to mention that connection that I'm talking about. The connection that is so important for this band whenever you're doing an idea such as the one that they've proposed and have done for the Mountain. That connection was there 100%. It was almost as though I was taking my own journey. I was basically rising and falling myself. I was going through the exact experience that perhaps was being written about. Either that, or I, within myself, was examining moments, either that or the entirety of my life, and recognizing the peaks and valleys, recognizing the moments where I was literally on top of the world, and also the moments where I couldn't have been further from the peak if I even had tried. Whenever you have a song that's able to convey that much power and that much raw emotion, not to mention also have the music that surrounds it, the songwriting that has built it, just be probably some of the top-notch, if not the top-notch piece of songwriting of the year, then man, you have really done something right. Not to mention, this was a good idea. This journey, this idea, this concept of the Mountain was definitely a good idea, because it's really something that sparked a wildfire, and the wildfire turned into an inferno of ideas. This album is able to continue and flow onward until its conclusion, maintaining that grip. And the thing of it is that both of these epics are on side B of the album, track 6 and track 8 respectively. So you have 20 minutes of the total runtime really jammed together within a very short stretch. However, that's the thing. They grip you. They really keep you really tightly within. It's not something that is distracting. I was speaking to a gentleman on the Cover Killer Nation fan site, and he asked me, he said, what's something that commands attention? What's something that makes, you know, guitarists such as John Petrucci, you know, really better than others? And it's something I mentioned earlier in this review, but I have to mention it again because this second half, really this entire album proves this. If you're able to connect with your listeners with your instrument on an emotional level, without there being words, and sometimes you can do it even without having a look on your face. You can principally just be almost lost and entranced in your own musical output, either that or in these ideas coming from the instrument. It's almost like that old allegory that they always had, that music is the work of the devil, either that or you sell your soul and you become great. It's almost as though the fingers, the brain, and everything are working in perfect unison with this tool, with this instrument, in order to create perfect harmony. And that's exactly what has happened. And it is not something that is just true on these two tracks, these two massive 10-plus minute long tracks where the composition gets to be expanded, as I always have said. No, this is something that is complete throughout the entirety of this disc. This is something that has been complete from track 1 all the way to the very last note of track number 9, Somebody. This is something that really has caused a bit of a problem for all of us. Well, for me at least, for Cover Killer Nation. The problem is that we thought we had a top album of the year in mind, and that might not be true anymore. We thought that we had a bona fide winner. That might not be true anymore. Haken's The Mountain is that good. Haken's The Mountain is that damn good of an album. The personal connection is one thing, however, the brilliance in this musicianship needs to be marveled. Ladies and gentlemen, Haken has not, just kind of finally showed up on the radar. Haken has motherfucking arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Haken has made their voice known. They have cast their lot into the fire, and a lot of people are going to take notice. This is an album that you need to listen to. This is one you need to experience to truly believe it. And you have to kind of go in with the idea of a little bit of personalized self-awareness. It's not really something that's required. However, since I'm telling you all this, you might as well do it and see if the experience is actually magnified. Especially if you've listened to this album already and you want to go back for round 2 or 3 or 17. This is one that needs to be experienced here in 2013. This is going to be one that's going to shake up lists. This is actually an album that could turn people on further to progressive rock and progressive metal. To say that this album has been able to do all that, Haken, you should be extremely proud of your endeavor. You should be extremely proud of the concept, the idea that you opted to take on of the mountain. You have scaled this mountain, and you have planted your flag at its peak, and it flies and waves with pride, as you all should feel, as you all should, if you were flags, wave and flap with pride. Because this album was pure magic, and I really, really loved it. We will see these guys again come December. That is a guarantee. What did you guys think of this album? Let me know.